About 50,000 passenger jet planes take off every day. Only 60 years ago, the first passenger jet plane was taking off, using a jet engine that was designed by the inventor Frank Whittle. This evolutionary idea advanced flight even further for both passengers and cargo. A lot of daily products that you take for granted have been imported from around the world. So really, even if you are not a frequent flyer yourself, flying has still affected your life in a large way. To fully understand how much it impacts us, let's go back in time to the early 1900s. Welcome to America in 1903. The Wright brothers have just invented the first plane. It traveled at a mere 30 miles per hour. Now this plane is much different than the ones that you see today. The plane was a glider plane, meaning it flew as a kite without an engine. Then we fast forward a few years to the DC-7, a piston engine plane. This was the largest and last piston engine airliner, but was still one of the first to travel from New York to London. It traveled at speeds of 350 miles per hour and could reach 25,000 feet. The piston engine worked by pressure from hot gases, turning the propeller, therefore moving the plane. But still, the engines prohibited the plane from flying fast enough to make a difference, and the ride was extremely bumpy. Throughout the years, planes would get faster and more revolutionary. Now let's travel over to Great Britain during the 1950s. Now, in Great Britain in 1952, Frank Whittle, the inventor of the revolutionary jetliner, argued that planes would need to fly at higher altitudes where air resistance is much lower in order to achieve long ranges and high speeds. Frank Whittle was born on the 1st of June in 1907 in Coventry. He was the son of a mechanic. From an early age, Whittle showed great interest in technology and the workings of planes. He served as a pilot officer for Britain's Royal Air Force. He came up with the idea of putting a fan in the fuselage to generate a fast flow of air to propel the plane, though his idea was turned down by the Air Ministry. After Whittle had been turned down by the Air Ministry, he patented the idea by himself. He secured financial backing in 1935 and with Royal Air Force approval, patented the idea by himself. Then Power Jets Limited was formed. Power Jets Limited quickly began constructing a test engine in July 1936, but they were unable to make great progress. Whittle concluded that a complete rebuild was required, but he lacked the necessary finances. Extensive negotiations with the Air Ministry followed, and the project was secured in 1940. By April 1941, the engine was ready for tests. The first flight with a jet engine was made on May 15, 1941. This idea led to the invention of the jet, which would allow planes to fly faster and at higher altitudes. Exactly what Whittle had hopes of doing. The first passenger jet plane was built by the company de Havilland and flown by the airline BOAC, the British Overseas Airways Corporation. This plane was called the Comet, which could fly at 503 miles per hour and reach altitudes of 42,000 feet. The plane used a jet engine to propel itself. A jet engine sucks air in at the front with a fan. A compressor raises the pressure of the air. The compressed air is then sprayed with fuel and an electric spark lights the mixture. The burning gases expand and blast out through the nozzle at the back of the engine. This also allowed for a more comfortable flight with less vibrations. This next clip is from the 1950s with information about the Comet given to
By all accounts,
people
another
living
success
in the
story is about to
1950s.
begin, with de Havilland Comet as the title. No civil airliner has undergone a more intensive testing program. This version is the 3B. Notice the effect of reverse thrust from the 4 Rolls-Royce Avon jets as the huge airliner touches down. It uses very little runway, surprisingly little for so heavy a machine. Now, the Comet 4. Soon after the Farnborough show, a Comet 4 completed the trip from Hong Kong to London in just over 16 hours, a record for the distance.
Each Comet aircraft could hold from 36 to 40 passengers. The first flight went from London to Johannesburg and made 5 stops in Rome, Beirut, Khartoum, Entebbe, and Livingston. The 7,000-mile trip took a total of 23 hours, including the stops. This was a revolution in aviation. The Comet 1 was discontinued after 2 years because of a series of crashes. Even though the first jet engine was discontinued, it was still revolutionary in the field of aviation. It redefined air travel. After they were discontinued, changes were made to the engine and a new line of Comets were released, even furthering the evolution of flight. Even today, more advances in flight and technology are still redefining flight, but the idea of the jetliner all started with the Comet. Passenger jet planes today have evolved. They can carry up to 370 passengers plus. That is a huge change from the 40 passengers that the Comet 1 could originally carry. Some planes today have bedrooms, kitchens, movie theaters, and much more. It is not only the interior and capacity of planes that have evolved. The engines have also. Today, planes can go faster and climb to higher altitudes. A plane can fly up to 550 miles per hour and reach altitudes of 45,000 feet plus. Planes have 2 engines attached to each wing. These engines can go from 0 to 60 miles per hour in less than 6 seconds in most large jet planes. The invention of the original jet also set the stage for a jet engine to be created that would send a rocket to space. The whole airline industry today would be non-existent if the jet engine had not been created.